this car with the doors locked. Unlock. Every other door unlocks except for the driver's door. So additionally, with the key, you can lock and unlock, but this door doesn't unlock. So there's an issue there. Fortunately with this car, if you push and hold the unlock button, the windows roll down. So then you can reach in, pull the handle, open the door, which also then unlocks the door. So we need to find what's going on in this door. Obviously there's something in the lock solenoid, but it does lock. So if we lock the car, it locks. So it's just unlocking, not operating. So not 100% sure what the story is there, but we'll get down to the bottom of it. Okay, we're trying to pull a Focus door trim off. This cover does pop off. The whole door's held on by clips, apart from a couple of screws that are hidden in behind here. So this gets popped off, and you can see there's your harness. You can disconnect the harness, make it easier. There's a bolt up here, and another one up here. Once you take those out, the whole thing just unclips and pops off. Righto, so to get to the handle on these Focus, you've got this whole panel that needs to be removed. Big dust panel / structure. There's 10mm head bolts that come out. Now the window regulator is riveted on the other side. So what you need to do is wind the window down until you see two 10mm bolts. Whoops. Two 10mm bolts. They just need to be backed off. That's a wedge. And then the glass comes out at an angle from the big side. This is where they lock on. So you just swing the glass out, and then once the glass is swung out, all those 10mm are out, and you can pull this panel off out of the way. You may have to disconnect the handle or even unscrew the handle. That whole plastic panel will come off. Okay, so in the door here, you can see there's a little crimp up there. We'll have to find out what's going on, if that's factory or not. I don't think it is. So this is the door assembly. So you've got this external cable for the door handle. You've got the wiring harness. And then there's 3 Torx bits there. They are a T30 Torx. And then I believe that this section here, this should have been secured in here, but it wasn't. So whether that's part of our problem as to why the door's not working properly, I'm not 100% sure. But we'll pull it apart and get at it. So someone's been in here before. There's bolts sitting in the bottom. There's, you know, the harness has been pulled apart. There was bolts missing out of the panel. So whether someone's had a look at it and tried to fix it and been unsuccessful or not, I'm not sure. So we'll see what we can sort out. So I unscrewed this handle assembly, but I'm going to pull this whole panel out of the way. So obviously this isn't going to fit through that hole. So this end here pops up. I'll just put the phone down. Okay, so that pops up and that exposes the knob end, and that just pops out. That's it, job done. So now this can get pulled through. I'll disconnect the wiring harness in here. Looks like this is just the tab on the end here. I think it might have broken off, so I might have to get a screwdriver in there to push the tab in. And we'll get this out of the way, and I'll pull the lock mechanism out, which is just those 3 Torx I showed you before. We'll have a look at it. So additionally, there's a T20 Torx here, because there's a big plastic bracket. There's a T20 Torx in the end to remove the handle. So if you back that screw off, then you can pull out the lock part, and then the door handle slides and pops out. So, and then I'm going to have to take out, there's a T20 Torx there. Take that one out, and hopefully I should be able to remove that whole frame in there then to get the whole thing out. Righto, we've released it. So this is all the handle mechanism up here. So the door lock was working, the lock solenoid's working, but for some reason it's not unlocking until you pull the internal door handle, which the internal door handle works on the same mechanism, and it pulls it. So it even showed the internal door handle lock showed that it was unlocked. So it's a bit of an odd one. So I think this might just be worn. We may have to replace it, but I'll do a bit of investigation and then show you findings. Right, so we've got this all set up. I've simulated that the door's closed by pushing this latch through. So that's where the striker would go in this hole. So that's locked. Well, it's closed. And then when you close, so I'll just unlock it for a sec. When it's open, this little latch here comes up to here, so then you can't lock it. Alright, so now we flip this over, that's locked. Okay, this has come down, that's all locked. Just simulating unlocking and locking here. Okay, that's on the internal door handle. Now, if I try and hold the camera at the same time, if I use the external door lock, you can see it unlocks. However, this arm internally needs to go further to actually unlock. Alright, so this plastic is pushing up far enough. The lock looks like it's doing the right thing. However, it's not moving this actuator arm far enough, which then means that it won't unlock. So this has obviously had problems before. The cable's broken. They've replaced the cable and done this dodgy here for the external handle. So now if we roll this external handle, you hear it doesn't click. It's not releasing the door lock. Whereas if I, as I show you, if I pull the internal door handle, you can hear that extra click. And then that's free and open. It needs lubricating, but so, and you can see that by pulling that handle, it pulls this further. So what I may be able to do is bend this little bracket here down a little bit onto this latch to give it a bit more tension, and that might solve that problem. So it's still got an issue in the handle, but this is at least a good temporary fix. Okay, so we're going to close the door. So you can see now, sorry, there's no gap there. There was a gap there before. So I've tightened this little bracket up here, just bend it down a little bit. So now if we watch with the remote blocking, so this arm here is connected to the actuator. So that's now locked. Unlock. And then this little arm down here is for the external handle. So if you push that, didn't work. Okay, so I found another problem. in the handle. So it's probably all related to this bloody dodgy cable fix. The external handle is not springing back all the way, which then inhibits the lock. So it's like if you're holding the door handle on the outside and it just won't unlock. So if we lock, unlock, pull this handle, and it unlocks. If we leave it in that position, lock, unlock, and it doesn't unlock. So now if I lock, pull this back, unlock, it releases. So that's what the problem is. It's not necessarily this part here, although that should be neat against it. There is, I just noticed a bit of cracking on this end here. So the plastic's all starting to give. But the problem is that this is not returning all the way, and that's because there's slack in the cable. So cables are push-pull. That's why it's such a short distance between the jacket and the eye. So for example, if I pull this over here, this is the end of our cable, which is the lock solenoid. So as it sits, that's a standard position. If I pull it, that opens, that pulls down here to open the door handle. Now, if I close the door and then push this lever, you see it pushes in and locks the door. Okay, so it's a single action. Pull it out a little bit, that's basically unlocking the door. This bit here continues to open the door and release the catch. Okay, so solely this dodgy fix with this cable is going to be the issue with this handle. I don't know if I might be able to put a spring, drill a hole down here and put a spring around it to pull it back all the way, and that might be the easiest fix I've got. I just got to see if I've got a spring that's that short. Okay, so I've put a spring on. Just drilled a 1.5mm hole in the plastic there. Now, I don't think this is going to be a permanent fix. It really needs the cable replaced, but it's definitely a proof of concept at least anyway. So we've got the door closed. We use the remote. So it's unlocked at the moment. That's locked. Okay, we'll unlock it from the remote. And then we can push this, and you can see, can't hold it and do it at the same time, but yeah, you can see it opens. Alright, so that's the external door handle, so now that's working. So as far as a repair, it's a bit of a rough repair, it'll work, but ultimately replacing the cable would be a proper repair. Alright, well, that gives you a bit of an indication as to what can be done in a pinch. In situations like this, you can work out what's going on with it and so on and so forth. So I don't doubt that it's a pretty common thing for these cables to snap. Certainly is for window regulators and that sort of thing as well. So ideally replace it with the right cable. If you are in a pinch, you can do that, but you may have to do additional repairs. Alright, I'll get it back together and show you it all working in the car. Okay, so Lee's got a new door. We're not going to use the door, obviously. We're going to use the lock mechanism. So we need to strip it out. Now, the thing is, obviously, this isn't on the car. So winding down the window, as I showed you before, you need to access these holes to line up for the two 10mm bolts that hold the window regulator, the window into the regulator. So in this situation, you can either try and figure out your wiring through the switches and everything and put power to the motor, or undo the 3 Torx, pull the motor off, and then you should be able to slide the window down. It should have a bit of resistance through the regulator, but you'll be able to slide that window down and line up the holes. Okay, slide this window down. There it is. So it was a bit difficult to crack the seal. I'm just trying to pull the window down, especially not being on the car and on the hay stands. I put a screwdriver in and flicked over the cogs a couple of times. Just those couple of flicks was able to break the seal, and it was a lot easier to get down. So now you can pretty easily slide it with your hands. So I'll pull these two bolts out. Same deal as the other car. So I'll pull them out. This one's actually got these little rivets connected, so they can pop in or pop out. Probably easier to push them through than it is to pull them out. So that's holding part of the bracket for the lock mechanism. I've already disconnected the internal door handle and popped the seal back in there. So I'll get this undone, pull the glass out, and get this panel off. Righto, so we've got the screws backed off. We can just slide this glass out, put it at an angle, and it slides up through the front half of the door. That's it, glass is out. Okay, got the door back together. Now for the ultimate test. Lock it, unlock it, open the door. Job done. Quick fix, would have just been replace a cable, but we replaced the whole mechanism because that's what we got. So that's it, keep an eye out for the next one.